Thank you all for showing up for a second day. We talked about our All Roads Lead to Portsmouth, and here's the reality. This is Veer Magazine. This is a monthly tabloid that is a lifestyle magazine. It has a circulation of 30,000 in the Hampton Roads, and it's psychographic, not demographic. In other words, they target a particular group of people. You find this in Norfolk, Old Town, Virginia Beach, every Harris Teeter store, except the one in Churchland. And so it's a hot item. And we have an editorial in here that says, all roads lead to Portsmouth. And I think this is pretty neat. In fact, I'm going to read just a paragraph. Let's talk about the routes. These routes are particularly important Monday through Friday. If you're heading to Old Town Portsmouth for dinner at a chef-owned restaurant, a movie at the Commodore, attending an art opening at TCC's Visual Arts Center, the Portsmouth Art and Cultural Center for a First Friday event in the courtyard, or a concert at Intello's. Restaurants, retail, and attractions are impacted by transportation, and they're joining with city leaders to get the word out. And then we have an ad in this paper, this tabloid too, that is showcased right before the Bob Dylan article, and it lists all the events that are coming up for the next month. And I'm going to pass this around, and I'll start over here, and but don't get distracted because we got some important work to do this morning. And so Elizabeth had this great idea that everybody embraced. If I was queen for a day, if I was king for a day, this is my vision of what I'd like to get done in Portsmouth. And so we're going to start, and I have 7 more pieces of paper in here, and we'll do a random draw, and we'll go in the order. Did you close your eyes?
No, I can't see the time more than anyway, so it doesn't look bad.
I think that's one. Yeah. Nope. You got to. I tried to make these numbers pretty big and legible. All right, who's got number 1?
I do.
All right. Is that a fix or not? It worked. We practiced this all last night. It worked. It was about almost 11:20. Yeah. Woo. All right. If you were queen for a day.
Okay.
Everybody give her proper respect.
Okay, so my idea is I have 29 months left in my term. So I try to be realistic. This is not pie in the sky, we have all the money in the world. Number 1, return of a weekly musical event open to the public for free at the North Landing Park, which we used to refer to as Forsyth. That could and should be put together perhaps by a nonprofit organization so that they can sell sponsorships, and maybe the food trucks become a part of this. Doesn't have to be Bill Deal in the Rondelles, it could be somebody playing the guitar, it could be, the music needs to be there, but it's irrelevant what it is. Mayor and I had a long talk about this at the last whatever was down there. Get the people back in their baby carriages, people walking their dogs, people like me after work, during the week, like 5 to 8. late, no big late night. It was always a reason to bring people downtown and then get them to go out and go to a restaurant, spend money, get together. That's number one. Number two, instead of National Night Out, but sort of along that same concept, get all of us back to the people. I want Portsmouth Night Out, like a campaign. All of us who are elected spend every 4 years going and knocking on doors. I think at least 8 out of 12 months, we could have one night, or maybe one day, depending on the neighborhood, where all of us go knock on doors. And when I say all of us, I mean all of us in this room. Everybody who's on the city payroll, including the fire department, sheriff's department, social services, different general services. Perhaps, and it's kind of along the idea in my mind of, reaching out to people and the people all of us in this room serve. So maybe if somebody from social services knocks on the door of Susie Citizen, that Susie Citizen might be more comfortable talking to that lady from social services, or that man from general services, or Ms. Randall, than she is talking to her neighborhood impact officer. But there has to be a reporting feature back to say, this is what we learned, this is what we heard, this is what the people are interested in. These are folks who don't come to council meetings, don't write letters, don't send emails, reach out and touch our constituency. And I'd love to get the teachers involved too. And maybe it's, if we go into Hatton Point, we can look, John's department can look and say, we have all these people live in Hatton Point, work for the city, in all these varying capacities. And they're the first people that go knock on the doors. It's their neighborhood. It's their neighbors. But I just feel like it's a way to get out and touch people that we don't normally see. And leave some sort of door hanger behind, just like we do when we campaign. It says, here's how you call the ombudsman, here's general services, here's police on emergency, all the major services that we offer. And number three would be to continue to work on improving Willett Hall to its former grandeur and partner with Monsepour for a major recreation center complex as part of Willett Hall, or adjacent to in that same area.
Great. Why don't we do this? Let's go through all of them, and then we'll talk about the ones and try to come up with a distillation like that. Who's two? Who's number two?
Right here.
Yes, sir. All right. If I were king, all right, we'll get this one if you'll start over there.
All righty. I think Elizabeth already hinted on some things I had in mind as well. But I'd like to go a little bit further with it. I'd like to see us have something down the entire waterfront, from the north landing all the way down to the other end. And I'd also like to see us do what some cities do on the weekends, is close off High Street from Effingham all the way down to the waterfront and make it just walking, and have even some venues going on in some of the different restaurants there. I think that'd be a great way to allow people to just stroll and take their time, not be overwhelmed with traffic parked all down the street. Also, I think on those times we ought to coordinate some type of good events with Intellos that's going on, so that we can have some entertainment as well as there with some venues. And I think if we brainstorm and come up with some innovative ideas, we might be able to make that work. I'm a very strong opponent of making sure that Willett Hall becomes the piece de resistance for the Tidewater area, as far as plays and bringing not just something from our churches, from our school. I'm talking about real Broadway plays, because we have a stage of such that it can accommodate all the types of props and things, orchestra pit. I mean, we just got a diamond right in the midst of us, and I don't think we capitalize on it as much as we ought to. I think those are some of the things. And then I think we ought to have some moments where we can have, I know we used to have the gentleman that would wear the antiquities wear of early Portsmouth. I think we ought to restore him, resurrect him, and bring him back down in the mix to make sure that we can point people toward Old Town. And I think if we do that, especially during the summer, it would be a grandiose way to market Portsmouth and cause other people to come and see what's going on in Portsmouth.
And that's Colonel Crawford?
Yes, Colonel Crawford. Yes, please.
All right.
So all I have to, was that third one?
Yeah.
The third one, I'd eliminate all taxes. No new taxes.
Colonel Crawford. No new taxes. Eliminate all taxes.
Yeah, that's it.
That's only a half a day. You get a whole day.
If we did all of that, it'd be a whole weekend.
You're right. All right. Who's three?
I'm number three.
Well, wait a minute. Between.
I would concur all of the above. However, one of the things that I think about, actions speak louder than words. I would love for that to be our goal. What we do and how we do it says a whole lot about what our city is all about. I think we need to think in terms of, we are the hub of the citizens. We are the hub. We represent. Our minds are supposed to project thoughts from the people because we are elected bodies. And they elect us based on our visions for what we want our city to look like. And we ought to speak with a voice that represents what the people's all about. I think I've been around long enough to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I think that's why I'm looking at it this way.
I'm not good.
You're a good sweetheart, especially with one of my babies. You look different. All right. But the thing is, I think that a lot of the things that we had in the past were good. However, I feel as if we should never go back to some of the things that we had. We need to look forward to the future in ensuring that we have a generation that will be able to perpetuate the vision that we are creating now. So often we create visions and they soon die because our individual initiatives get in the way of us ever achieving the goal of what we set out to be. I would love to see us get back to the true feeling of what a family is all about. A true family can sit around and discuss things and not feel as if it's my point of view or your point of view, but it's an our conceptualization. We are the people in the city. And unless we not only speak it, we practice it, we ought to implement a plan of action where people feel as if I'm important to our city. And we ought to begin to build that conceptualization in the minds of the children because they are going to be the ones. So I think education should be the top. Training the mind. I also believe that number 2 should be patriotism / sincerity. They are different in concept, but your actions speak louder than your words. And I'm saying it from an old woman's point of view because I've seen the good, bad, and ugly. And I'd like for us to pull those things together and be sincere and truthful with one another, rather than giving a false view. It's not a downtown versus a Cavalier manner. We are one family, and we need to embrace that. We do too much separating, promoting downtown as opposed to some other church or whatever. We are family. And if we are a family, we ought to promote the city as a whole. We are all parts that build the whole of our city. We can't keep separating it, because the more we separate, the more we divide. And when we come together in unity, we build and unite. And that's what I would like to see us do. And I have lived through the whole world. And I would like to see us get to that point. And I'm not a young girl, I'm 79. And I have watched it happen all the way through. So we can pull these things together and practice what we preach. We'll get downright serious. We preach one thing and practice something else.
That's right.
And I have lived long enough to see it. You know where I'm coming from, Bishop. I watched you grow up, 5 young men. And I salute you. But I've seen some that's been around who could have made a difference and closed their eyes. We should be truly what we perpetuate. The Portsmouth thing. You are my son, you are my sister, and my daughter, just be on the But the thing that I'm saying, let's embrace and do that. Love one another and lift one another up instead of the backbiting that goes on in our city. And I'm calling the spade, because I'm old enough to see it and get away with it. All right? So I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm telling you what I see we need to do. And I'm reaching out and touching you and touching you. The young and the mature. All right, because I'm the old. But I want you all to understand. Okay.
Did you get all that? We did. 4.
Do I have thumbs, man?
All right. All right.
Got big shoes to fill. Hey, can't wait to listen.
Too much to give, I guess. Okay, mine would be a little more pointless in some areas. Everything we do is about people. It's just really about people. And the people who make us look good every day. Some of them sit around the table behind us, but there's over 1,000 of them running around the city, probably 2,000 of them. I want to, and we can do this, we're working on, if we're not already, a step plan for our regular employees, city employees. Not just like we have for the fire police, but a step plan similar to what the federal government has for federal employees. That way they know what to expect in the future. They have reason and cause to want to stay here because they know in 3 years I'm going to get another, I'm going to get a whatever it is raise. So we can start working on that. But those people take care of us every day, and we make them a priority for a change. We make certain segments of the population or groups and things a priority, but forget about people who make it happen for us every day. We send you come up with grandiose ideas, send you guys out to make it happen. So we got to start taking care of them so they continue to take care of us. The second one, I want to renew interest on downtown Holiday Inn site in particular. People say we don't have what they need for a hotel down there. I beg to differ. We need another hotel down there on that site so that we can start getting some of the conventions and events and things that Norfolk and some of the other people get. I park in the Main Street tower in Norfolk every day, 5 days a week. Most of us employees who pay to park there, we have our favorite parking space. But more and more lately, some tourist or some person coming to an event is parking in my parking space. You know, so, which is a good thing for Norfolk. But those events, and I talk to someone on the street when I walk their lunch, they're not huge concerts, but they need 300 rooms, some of them 400 rooms, nice rooms. We don't have them in Portsmouth. And the only reason why they haven't come to Portsmouth, because I'm an ambassador every day. Well, we all only got one hotel. and we can't afford that one. So when we had the Holiday Inn, people who couldn't afford the Renaissance went to the Holiday Inn, and those who could, vice versa. And sometimes it was the Focus Hotel, and the Renaissance was the Overflow Hotel. But we got to get some more hotel rooms in Portsmouth. We're going to compete with the rest of the region. So, you say, and I heard people come in and say the market isn't there. But we're talking about doing things in Portsmouth that's going to be here 25, 30 years from now. Didn't think murders would work. It worked. I think another hotel downtown Portsmouth will work as soon as better. So that's what I was doing.
Ooh, scary.
All right.
High five.
I'm still on my people kick now. I, as a federal employee, have done 5 years without a raise. Okay? Again, there's sequestration. Our employees did the same thing. But now we have opportunity, these new things coming online. Let's play some catch up and continue the 3 to 5% pay raise for our employees until we get them to where they ought to be in the region and then level off. So, y'all got one chance to do it. But so, we got to focus on that. And I still think we got to focus on the people, and we got to make sure that they're well taken care of. Because I talked to a good friend of mine this past week who had the opportunity to get a great job at Portsmouth. He works in Chesapeake. I think it's a great job. Turned it down simply because of uncertainty. Lives in California, been living there for 30 years. So we got to fix that. And the only way we do that is we have a committed effort to show them that if you come to Portsmouth and work in your hometown, we're going to take care of you. You're going to be okay. So, next one, we've all had a lot of discussions about recreation centers, and we continue to have the discussions. Some of you have paid straight view of the recreation center, and I've already shared it with some people, and some of them agree with it. As a matter of fact, I think me and Mr. Meeks came up with it part together. We rode around one night about 11 o'clock.
12.
So we always working late. And we just rode
Got
around.
that in. We got eyes on the street.
That's right. But we were looking for places for recreation centers.
Yeah.
We rode around where we
Calvin Baptist Church.
Calvin Baptist, Marvin City. My wife called me, yeah, I'm with James, you better get home. But anyway. And this is what I came up with. Around the church and middle school area, where the fire department is, there's a lot of land around there. A lot of land. Ground, back, side, all that. Once we put something in the ground, kill out mosquitoes. We could take that area right there and make a megaplex with everything. When I say mega, I'm talking about sports, recreation, and education. Computer labs, whole 9 yard, indoor, outdoor sports, whatever. Okay? And I think we could do the same thing if we come over to Capitol Manor, redesign Capitol Manor. Redesign it, do the same thing. There's enough land there to do it all. And then we'd have 2 megaplexes on each end of the city that would be accessible to all the citizens. Now, these other ones we heard about, I agree that one in JFK is old, it's ragged, they need to be fixed, need to be repaired, and maybe need to be expanded. I think we can do that too. And we start, like we talked about the night in council meeting, the lady came back to the tennis court. We started out fixing up what we got first, making it accessible, making it more usable while we come up with a plan and the money to do the other things. I think that way the whole city would have some say or feel like they have something in their backyard that they can access for their children. So that's my recreation pitch. So make sure you get that out there. I want to fix the one in Truxton up now and expand it. My next one, John, is one I talked to you about. As a veteran, most of us, a lot of us here are veterans. The Bible tells us all we poor among us, that we're to be generous towards them. Don't say anything about they have to be hungry or homeless. So we have some great organizations in Portsmouth Volunteer for the Homeless, Oasis Social Ministry, they do a great job with them. But I want to do something that focuses on veterans. I want a veteran release Portsmouth when they come back home to know they've got something to come back to. Some of them are going to come back, they don't even want to stay. Put these systems with jobs or whatever, go live, those kind of things. So I want us to have something called the Portsmouth Vets House. When we talk about the house they have in Virginia Beach, that's just for people who have some kind of addiction or something of that nature. I want to serve them too, but I want to serve all vets. Just make it a focus, more focus point. Because you have a lot of veterans leaving the military now because of budget cuts and everything else. Who, when you were like me, you were artillery officer, and you can take I could take and shoot 3 rounds and blow up the city hall in Hampton. Kind of hard to translate that into to a civilian job. So they need help with those kind of things, you know? They need help with those kind of things, and we need a place right here in Portland that focuses on them. Homeless veterans in particular, but all veterans. So I'd like to see us work on something like that. And those are my major pictures and areas of focus. So, oh, I did have one more. Some point in time, we got to get out of tax rate now. And the target rate is between 120 and 124. Let's get it down to. Don't know how you do that, but you know, you've done a lot of good things in 6 months, so I'm counting on you to figure it out.
It's right in my back.
So when you figure it out, let me know, and I'll take credit for it.
And build all these rec centers.
Yeah. This guy can do amazing things with the team he's got. See, he comes in and takes credit for all the stuff. That's what you're supposed to do. But really, I think that should be a goal, because if you think about Portsmouth and you know, the 30 square miles, whatever it is we have, and what you get, we do a lot with what we have. And we've been doing the impossible for a long time. We don't have the population, the income base, or the space that other cities have. You saw that chart yesterday. And just think, if we had a renewed effort, focus on some of these other things that I spoke about, what we can do. And I'm just a believer, you know, I'm just a believer. That's why I'm in Portsmouth, I'm a believer. I could be anywhere in the world, in the country, really. You know, but this is a great place. I always thought so when I was a kid, came up in, and I still believe it. So we just gotta make everybody else know what we already know. I get another high five. All right.
And I amen back. How cool.
That's it for me. All right. For now.
All right, I'm number 5. I've got one thing I'd like you to put up there, just one, because I like the ideas and the comments here. One of the things that has concerned me since I've been in this office is that we don't get a real sense of what the community wants us to do. We have, and you understand people, we've got 1 or 2 that want to come to the council meeting, every meeting, and say what they want to say, and they don't represent all of the people. We're the elected officials, we're supposed to represent all of the people. But the more I get out in our community, and I'm extremely engaged in our community, there's a huge disconnect. We've got a huge young population that thinks we do absolutely nothing to target the things that they want. We've got more and more seniors coming online that feel the same way. I talked with the city of Hampton because I was very intrigued the fact that they went and had a 20-cent tax increase. And one of the things, talking to the mayor and the vice mayor, that they were able to pull that off, is they've got these little clicker devices that they went and borrowed from, I think, James City County. No, it was Williamsburg.
Hampton Roads Center for Civic Engagement.
Right, okay. John and I talked about this at a PDC meeting because the mayor of Williamsburg and the mayor of Hampton talked about, they were awful concerned about these same onesie-twosies coming in, and they could see the elected officials trying to cater to these same 1 or 2, saying the same thing, meeting after meeting, and it was refreshing or probably shocking when they went out in the community with these clickers and auditoriums and civic centers, and they brought up issues, and folks didn't have to speak, they didn't have to comment, all they had to do was click, do you like this or not? And it was amazing. And the city of Hampton borrowed that apparatus and went throughout the city because they talked about all of these things that we need. Education, recreation, all of these things, and what it was going to cost. And if you want to continue to have these things, here's what's going to cost. Are you willing to lose these services or lose these facilities, or are you willing to pay? And they went up throughout the city, okay, and amazingly, they just did a tax increase because the citizens wanted those things because they saw where their city could go. And they were stunned. And those 3 or 4 that kept coming up backed away because the citizens had spoken. And I go through our city here and I talk to all different groups. And as mayor, I'm always invited to come places and speak. And I try to get there early or stay later because I want to get a feel for what these different groups, civic leagues, neighborhoods and all. I think we need to do something in that mode to really find out what citizens want us to do. Now, I think we need to make a comprehensive list of things that we think are a priority and cut the politics piece out. I mean, we all know the jail's got to go. We all know the Holiday Inn site needs to be developed. We all know that these things happen in the right way. There's going to be opportunities for us, but quality of life in these neighborhoods and making sure citizens feel that we're doing things on their best behalf and educating them and getting feedback from them through those type of mechanisms. Because you find more and more people don't want to come down to council. They don't want to be confrontational. They tell you in church, they tell you in all these other places in one-on-one conversations, and they feel that we are in a total different stratosphere when it comes to doing things that they like in the city. And I think that's a huge disconnect because I'm one of the biggest cheerleaders we've got here. And I'm always trying to promote all of the things we try to offer and we're trying to capture. It kind of goes along the lines of what Paige and Ms. Randall here just talked about. And what do you want to do? Not letting, and I looked into this whole port side deal. Why did we stop doing the port side? And it all came down to one neighborhood or 2 or 3 people that continued to come to council, and that council at the time caved in. And then all I've heard from everybody I talked to is we need to bring that back. And it just bothers me that we allow 1 or 2 people. We've had the same issue here with a dog park. 1 or 2 people that goes out and do these things. We can take these mechanisms, go in these communities, and get that data and give it back to
We're knocking
us.
on the doors.
Why we're not doing this? But we've got to get back engaged with our citizens and make sure that we're doing the things that they want. So that's just one item, that clicking device. I was stunned because I told the mayor in Hampton, if you're able to pull something like that off, and when I talked to her and George Wallace, the vice mayor, and they went and bought those apparatuses, they were stunned. Their council and everyone. And that rate increase, and that's just one example because we always talk about tax increases, but to increase your tax rate 20 cents, and the citizens all were in favor, and they overwhelmed me, and you did not hear the drama you hear here when you hear about things we're trying to do. So I would really like for us to get engaged with our citizens. It's only 97,000 of them, and I really think we would do all ourselves a good job and a better service if we're able to do it.
The word for that is civic engagement.
Absolutely. But yeah, they don't want to talk, they don't want to speak, they don't want, some of them don't even want their neighbor to know that I'm a Democrat or Republican, or I like this or I don't like that. Just get them in there and give them a clicker. I think you'll have dog parks all over this place. I think you'll have rec centers all over this place. And then you're going to say, here's how you pay for it. Do you want to do this or do you want to hit the button? Click it. Thank you.
All right.
Number 6.
Number 6.
First on my list is let's purchase some clickers. We've been missing our clicker.
That's right, I like
The Romans used a thumb. I guess the clicker is contemporary.
That's old technology.
Okay, first thing, council. perception of council is, a lot of people think that we see each other real frequently, beyond our 2 meetings a month. And we do a lot of communicating with each other throughout the week, discussing city problems, but we know that's not the case. So we need to have more get-togethers like this, whether they be retreat, strategy sessions. We do not do enough of that. There's a disconnect among us. Also, we're talking about the perception of Portsmouth, and I think everybody in this room at least, we think there are a lot of great things already in Portsmouth. But unfortunately, we don't do enough things to get outsiders into town to view those. You know, we talk about Portside. Portside was a great venue. A lot of people got involved in city government just from going to Portside, and it was a good sounding board, to the mayor's point, of listening to people. City Park, we talk about doing things downtown, in Old Town. That is the most underutilized piece of real estate in the city. City Park. I think we need to look at having events there, maybe even a Christmas display, drive-through Christmas display, perhaps even looking at a fishing pier. You know, once again, we're a waterfront city, but other than a boat ramp, we don't have any place to wet a fishing line. I think a fishing pier would be a good investment. Wouldn't be free. You could charge, but I know people in this city would pay to go fish or to go crab. Also, beautification. You know, everybody talks about beautification. I think our bar is way too low. You know, we get excited when the weeds have been cut on the gateways to the city, or the beer bottles.
Can I give Bill a high five?
Let's see if done that.
The beer bottles have been picked up, but we need to think bigger than that. We need to put some money into putting barrels of flowers around our city. Why can't we're talking about the state doing things on their roadways, why can't we plant wildflowers at the entrance to our city, in our gateways, instead of just a stark sign with some evergreen shrubbery there? Why can't we do wildflowers? Recreation center, I agree with you know, what our study said. I think Churchland and Cavalier Manor, although Churchland, I tend to be more in favor of something in the Willett Hall area, only because I think that's a little more central. But if you do Cavalier Manor in that area, I think you pretty much got recreation centers that are easy to get to for most of the city. But we talk about a $2 million, $2.5 million recreation center. You get the second-rate recreation center. If we're going to do it, by golly, we can, you know, we got enough credit. We can build an $80 million courthouse. We need to invest when we do a recreation center in one that has that education component, not just go there and have a basketball court and a weight room. I invite anybody to visit the Williams Recreation Center that Virginia Beach opened earlier this year. That's what it needs to be, something on that level. Yeah, state of the art, where you can go for crafts, senior citizens can go there, kids can go there, it'd be a daycare facility there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we should ask the citizens to pay a nominal fee to visit it, to help offset the operating cost. city, we need a department or a sub-department of compliance. We do a lot of things, and we put a lot of good things in place, and too many things fall through the cracks. And we need somebody that's circling around once a policy or a fee is established or procedures established to go behind on a regular basis and make sure that we're following what we agreed to do. I don't think it has to be a six-figure position, but the lady, and I'm sorry, I forget her name, that discovered the HRT route thing. Susan. A prime example. How many other little things like that may have gone unaccounted for?
I'm giving a virtual high five to Carol.
The Renaissance, a good example. We know there's an agreement. But
Mark,
I would offer $1 million for anybody to recite what that agreement is. I don't think the Renaissance knows,
They don't.
but I can't beat them up because I don't think we know. So I think we need to seriously look at that. Also, public work sessions. You know, we other than our formal meeting, ideas are exchanged at those public work sessions. And unfortunately, somebody will say something that sounds good, we all feel good about it, and we leave, we go to the formal meeting, and there it goes, it's gone forever. I really believe that notes should be taken in public work sessions for our edification and for the public's edification. I know there's video, but you know, they have to go back and review the video and find out who said what. Let's take notes there. I mean, we're not talking about any atomic secrets being revealed or anything. We're talking about it's a clearinghouse for ideas and things. I also had developed the Warmer Holiday Insight, and a lot of those things are just, I mean, those are low-hanging fruit. Department of Compliance minutes, beautification. I think that's enough. Oh, one other thing. Let's maintain what we have.
Yes.
We're talking about recreation.
Yes.
But look above you. Look at this room. This facility opened not too many years ago, and look at it. It's got some deferred maintenance that needs to be addressed. And, you know, it looks like this today. If nothing is addressed, we come in here 5 years from now, it's going to look worse. And all of a sudden, a council in the future is going to say, man, we got to spend how many millions to fix up that Battle Weed Pavilion? How did it get like that? Well, it got like that one piece at a time. And here's the start right here.
Number 7.
you're number 7.
All of y'all's wishes are granted.
Whoa, what a king! Here's a guy who really knows the rural power.
I was really going to start out with Bill ended up with. I really think we need to make sure we have a mechanism in place to maintain our buildings. For the simple reason, like the courthouse, we just spent $72 million. If we don't keep on it in 25 years, we're going to have to start doing maintenance on that. This building, like he said, this building's about that old. You know, it started out with one spot over there, and then it runs all the way over. It's the same thing with any of your buildings. And when we build these rec centers, because I think you have to speak things into existence. When we build them, we need to make sure something's in place to make sure the maintenance is constantly kept up to keep the buildings fresh.
I like that phrase, speak things into existence.
He wrote it down. I'm a rookie.
It rubs off.
I mean, he just has knowledge. That's why I don't know how to sit close to that. think that's huge. I think, people are very visual. I think
Another
that,
phrase.
when you want to go sell something, you take Airline Boulevard. 8 weeks ago, it was one of the worst streets in the city. Now you go through there, it looks refreshing. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. I go down Airline every day now. Even though I have to drive down. You know, go James. But I won't turn down Frederick. So I'm sticking out kind of like. But I think maintaining our roadways and beautifying the, the flowers and stuff, I think that's huge. And realistically, we beat on it and stuff, but you're talking about from Greenwood Drive downtown is what, 8 miles? From College Drive to the bridge, you're talking about 3 miles. So we're talking about 11 miles total. We have a lot of prisoners in jail, and I think we pay for the supplies, the gas, the maintenance on the thing, and we shove them out there and maintain our streets. And if we get something from the state, great. But if we don't, they're there anyways. We're paying, what was the number? $19,000 a year per inmate. Let's get something back from that. If we have maintenance and we need a building paint, why sub it out? Utilize it. Some people are against Bill, some people are for him, against him. But he has a pool of labor that we can use for free. I think we need to use them. The recreation centers, I think is huge. I think we do have to catch kids before they fall fit to practice. And we were out. It was 11 o'clock riding through Churchland, going Capitol Manor, and just laying out and looking at the property we have. And we have a lot of potential here. And, Marlene said the best. We are the heartbeat, not of just this city, the council, but we're the heartbeat. We're the dead center of all of them. So if we did a conference center on the water side, at the water port side, we did any of that stuff, hotels, people will come here and use it because it's just location, it's the centerpiece. And if you want to really look at, Margaret hired a lady from the beach. I said something to John about saying something to her, but you look at Virginia Beach. Besides the ocean front, so that's, let's say it's 4 months out of the year. Look at the sportsplexes they have. Those teams come from, I don't care if it's soccer, softball, baseball,
Football.
Everything. Cheerleading, competitions. That brings a ton of people here for hotels, restaurants. And then people actually get to see what you have. So you know what, hey, I seen that. Let's go visit that after when we get to take our vacation. And that's where we really have to get out of the box. We're 33 square miles, but we could be 1,000,000 miles if we use our potential. I wish, this council, people can say what they want. We're diverse and it's good. It's good for the citizens. We're not here. We're here with the citizens. We're here with the employees. To keep morale, we have to have a step plan for all of our employees. That was one of the biggest things, I expressed to John Page. We have to make sure they do not want to leave. Turnover is bad. When you start having high turnover, you have problems, If they know they're getting a raise this year, maybe 2 years, as long as they know they're getting something, they're going to go, hey. And then they're part of being a part of the city where their voice does matter. And we need everybody to work for us. All 2,000 employees, the 2,000 teachers, and that's sad too. I really would like to see our employees taken care of on fire and police, fire, our everyday employees, public works, the whole 9 yards. But I think we have a strong council. Everybody don't like me. That's fine with that.
Everybody loves Marlene.
Cause I'm the old lady, I'm the senior.
But I mean, everybody brings something to the table. And I think it's very important that citizens know that we do care. And I mean, we have, Bishop, you know, he touches a whole different group of people than I touch. You know, Elizabeth, everybody brings something to the table. And I think it's very important. And that's what I see. I see that we have a lot of potential. We just need to maintain this stuff, and we have to figure out other ways of bringing revenue streams into our city. And we have to get a vision and benchmarks.
Yeah.
If we don't, all of this is waste.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why yesterday, a couple of times you talked about the roadmap in lieu of the vision, and that's what I think we as a council and John and his staff need to do, to be honest with the citizens of here are our requirements and needs, here are the challenges, and here's what could trigger some of these other things. We've got to do this on a comprehensive level and stop letting the manager bring one thing to us and say, this is a great idea, and we run and do it. But they don't tell you, if you do this, you won't do these other 5 things. We need to have these top 5 or 6 things we want done. We need to understand the financial responsibility it's going to require to get those things done and look at it in a totality. Ms. Randall touched on stop trying to do something on one end and not on the other end of the city. You have to look at those things from a comprehensive point of view to be able to say, if we're going to do this in the next 5 years, and here's all the dollars you have. Unfortunately, we only have enough money to do 1 or 2 of these things. So we owe it to ourselves not to keep looking at these things in one-dimensional form. We need to look at these things in a comprehensive manner. That's why you have those plans. The things you kept touching on yesterday is because we need a comprehensive plan of what we want to do. And we talk about this waterfront, we talk about the jail, we talk about, there are all kinds of things we can do to trigger income coming in downtown that will help the inner part of our cities. But focusing on one end and not into the others, you're wasting yourself. I think somebody mentioned the other day, you're taking money, the whole recycle piece. The one takeaway you get from there, if you're not able to take money and give some type of credit back to the citizens, they feel it's a wash.
Exactly.
So if you're not able to say the reason why we're talking about doing this downtown is because we want to do this over here in Port Norfolk or Calvary Manor or Truxton, and those people can understand what we're trying to do and see the vision, you can bring your citizens along. But you've got to be able to tie them together and do it in a comprehensive fashion. This business of, this is a great idea, let's go do it, and something else is a great idea. One thing may keep us from doing something else. And the fellow yesterday, one of the big things I took away on the development piece was that herd mentality. It is going to happen, and it's going to happen in places like ours. I think you might have been shocked to hear the young man talk about the whole toll issue and the pluses of that. There are huge pluses for Portsmouth 10, 20 years from now, because it's going to force us west of the Elizabeth River to deal with Suffolk, Isle of Wight, and all that, because this is going to be the place. So can you put your cap on and throw the politics out and look at what would you like this place to look like in the next 10 to 15 years, and then drill it back down to today so we stay with the plan and not some guy called Bill and all of a sudden he called you and there's 3 of y'all in here talking about something that ain't nobody even had in the plan, okay? And you're trying to find 4 votes that blow up the plan that we sit here and talk about. And that's what's been happening in our city, and that's been hurting us. And that's why people don't trust us, and people go, well, where was that at in the plan? Where is that comprehensive plan? Show me where that is, so we're going to get there. And that's what we need to focus on.
We're good at filling up easel charts. What we fail to do is
Do the action plan.
we fail to prioritize strategy on how to implement it.
John, I'd like to say something too.
Yes, sir.
Daniel hit on it, write the vision, without a vision, the city will crumble. So you write out the vision, put it before us, and make it plain, and then let us walk in it. Because without a vision, we won't go anywhere. We all got to see it, know what it is, and then prioritize it and move forward. And I think as we make strides in finishing and accomplishing whatever those visions are, we need to tell the community that we've done it. This is what we've done. And then come back like we did with the recycling. We talked about it, we implemented it, and that's about to be done in full scope, so we need to do that.
But you never want to lose your citizens. And to keep your citizens engaged with your plan, you have to bring them something. You have to show them this is a result of these clickers that y'all all clicked. We did this, and then we're coming over here, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And you'll stop this trying to put Craddock against Churchland and all of that. That helps none of us in this city when we do that. And so we've got to be able to do that and keep the citizens engaged. That was my whole piece with the clickers. We are in a total different world than these 96,000 people that we represent. And that's sad. And that's sad. Each one of us got our little pockets of support. But as Ms. Randall said, if we want to bring this whole city together, and we want everybody to understand the vision, it is incumbent upon us that we make this happen and do that.
We got to make sure these clickers have the equal volume.
Yeah. Ms. Randall had her finger up.
Okay, I just like to say one thing, this is a beautiful discussion. But bear in mind, actions speak louder than words.
Get that?
What we do, say, and how we act out will say whether or not we have truly embraced